All right, Josh again with Disco 3.2, and I'm just gonna. This is not really like about Disco 3.2 products or anything. This is just about some common sense stuff that I just kind of wanted to share, because a lot of people do end up talking to me, and a lot of the questions they have are about like preparedness and what happens in emergency, and people are just kind of concerned about everything going on for whatever their reason is, and that's cool. I am just like and I want to give them some advice, and that way I can just like point them to this video, and I don't have to say it so many times. No, I'm just joking. You can ask me. I'll tell you again. So when I think about preparedness or being able to communicate in like where there's no infrastructure, I really think about it from just a common sense standpoint. I see a lot of people, dude, I'm scrolling Instagram like everybody else and seeing all these cool tech and all of these different things, but the reality is like, you don't change the way you operate or you do things when bad happens. For instance, I just learned that in combat, like things don't change. It does not feel different in combat than it does just day to day. It just doesn't feel different. It feels exactly the same, except it can kill you all over the place. But you act the same way you would have done in training. You're lazy there, just like you're lazy here. And so what you find out is you use the adage, you train the way you fight. And so the stuff that I do as a hobby, I just bring that right over into my preparedness plan. And that way nothing changes. I know how to use all my equipment. I know where it's at. I know it's serviceable because like I'm using it, not all the time. I'm not on the ham net all the time, but I'm on there sometimes. And that way it's not a pipe dream. The last thing you want to do is for really to really have a situation where you need to use it and nothing works or you don't know how to use it. And then, at that point, there's no one to tell you how to use it because you can't access any kind of data to figure it out. So we're just going to kind of go down what I have. And, if you don't like it, fuck you. All right. So a Pelican case, I keep a few things in a Pelican case. All right. So inside of this, we're going to start off with, I have an Alliance HD1. And oh, Josh, if you have it in there for so long, how are you going to charge it? Remember we talked about, like I can charge this with a USB-C, and I already have this pre-programmed with a bunch of different frequencies, all sorts of different stuff. Some frequencies that you wouldn't probably think about maybe having in your personal radio are definitely like NOAA, the weather guys. You definitely want to have like NOAA frequencies in there. One of the big reasons is not just the weather. NOAA is like one of the most survivable, longest lasting, continuously operating weather networks. And if you go on NOAA frequencies and you can't get anything, there's problems. That would be like a way to tell things are not going too good. Okay, so I keep this in there. So with this radio, we've talked about it in another video, but I have VHF, UHF, digital. I have some encrypted channels so that I can link up with like-minded individuals. And I keep a bunch of these. I have a couple of them on the table right now, but I keep one in my kit and I keep around about 6 of them around for friends so some shit go down, okay? In this little bag, what do we have? We have a police scanner. All right, so I have a modern police scanner. It's really important that when you pick police scanners, you understand that this is also like a whole other hobby, and different police departments and different agencies and different standards all over the country. So a lot of departments now are switching to encrypted, which you can't even pick up. But you want to have a police scanner so that you can just get some situational awareness of what's going on around you. Like, you will not be able to get an understanding from this stuff initially, but you'll at least be able to gather, hey, maybe I shouldn't travel to this part of the city or go here because the X, Y, and Z are going on. And you'll be able to kind of, it's your ears out to the public safety network. So I keep a police scanner and I keep the charging cable because it's not like the rest of my, I have 2 things here that use a different type of charger. So I have with it always the charger. And I always keep a charger that I can plug into USB to harvest power from somewhere else, or I can plug it into a wall, okay? So I keep that in the same bag inside of my little kit. So far we have handheld radio, VHF, UHF, DMR, analog, we talked about in the video, and then we have this Uniden SDS100 police scanner, okay? That is, I have pre-programmed with the frequencies around me. This one is kind of cool because you can put in your zip code and it will pull in all the frequencies that it thinks it can pick up. And then you can go down there and drill down. Like, I'm not a fan of the interface on this radio. I'm not a fan of how you, it's not this receiver. I'm not a fan of the programming software for it, but it is literally the best one that's out there. This whole scene is just shit, okay? I know people are gonna be like, oh, you could do it with SDR and SDR, and I get that. When I'm cold, tired, hungry, shit's not going right, I don't have the time to fucking set up my SDR and do all the things and have the apps going and do it all. It's not. I need something that I can just like turn on and like take it in, okay? So this is actually, so a part of my plan that I'm not bringing up right now in particular is that I do always have a Starlink Mini, okay? I started adding a Starlink Mini to my kit a long time ago, and I keep it permanently mounted on my vehicle. Right now we're running it, the boys are using it because they're here training to get some internet, but I keep it outside. It's IP rated. I have a little thing. It's always on my vehicle, so should I get into a situation where I have no other connectivity, I can get out with the Starlink. But inside of here is just the various adapters that I would like to use for the Starlink. Starlink Mini, you can power by USB. A lot of people don't know that. Just a really powerful USB-C. So I have the USB-C to do it. I have some networking cable should I need to like network that into a router so that I could provide internet for like friends and family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I keep that in there. This pouch, kind of like, it was $50, but you can get a pouch just like this for probably like $10 on Amazon. So this is just, I don't even know who makes that. It's just, I know it was super expensive. Okay. And the kind of the key in the whole thing to me is this radio here. All right. So I have an ICOM 705 radio. And this is the best all band radio that I could find that was transportable, that wasn't like on a desk, that wasn't like just super for like, it had all the things I needed and nothing that I don't. And the biggest thing that this thing has that no one else in this kind of space has is this is battery powered. So I can use this radio on a battery. And that's really important if you don't have power and you want to communicate, right? So what does this ICOM do? So it does both VHF, so UHF, so it can talk to this, okay, on VHF and UHF. And then it has HF. And Josh, what's HF? Funny you should ask. HF stands for high frequency. And don't get, there's a ton of stuff out on HF, but don't get confused. Like high frequency is like a low part of the spectrum. So you have HF, VHF, UHF, and basically what happens is as you go from over here at UHF to HF, the size of the waves when this thing transmits just get bigger and bigger. And down here on this end, some funny things start happening where you can use the Earth's atmosphere as a friend. Normally, for VHF and UHF, when you transmit, radio waves are exiting your antenna at 186,000 miles per second. They're going somewhat straight, and then they're going to burn right through the atmosphere and continue to go into outer space forever and ever and ever. When you get down into HF, when you transmit, same thing, 186,000 miles per second, radio waves are going out. But when they reach certain parts of the atmosphere, they're going to do something called propagate. And they're going to bend back down towards the Earth so that you can talk beyond line of sight, okay? And that is the key. So what happens is the inverse. Antennas that are small down here get fucking huge over here, all right? And that's like the last part of the kit, and I'll talk about this in a second. But this radio kind of does it all. And for instance, from Aberdeen in North Carolina or Southern Pines in North Carolina, I have made a comm shot to Vancouver on 5 watts and talked voice. So With this radio, you can do things like pick up shortwave, where you can pick up radio stations all around the world and listen to what's going on. And sometimes it's a little bit insightful to hear what someone on the other side of the world has to say about something. You can communicate long distances. You can kind of do it all. Now, this thing is not cheap, but it is a key part of my kit. And like, this is key to my success or failure. So like, this is kind of the one I went to and I bought the bullet on it. Not very many like accessories and things out for it, but it comes with a good little speaker mic, and I just turn it up. I set it and I forget it. There is a waterfall on here. There's a lot of different things that make it easy to make contact. You definitely have to be trained on it. You definitely have to use it a whole bunch to be comfortable with it. But once you're comfortable with it, it's very easy to communicate on. So that's why that's in this kit with this stuff, okay? And then obviously I have the power to plug into the wall, and then you can also charge this with USB, and I have the USB to charge it in here. It's the same one as my, it's actually a micro, which is in this bag. So it would be great. ICOM, listen, ICOM, brother, if you're watching, we want a USB-C. Okay, we want a USB-C on this. Same thing with Uniden. I know you guys ain't watching because I don't know what's going on with your company, but we want USB-C, okay? All right. Now, the antenna. So to be able to make those really long shots, so HF, there's a million different ways to make HF antennas. There's a million different ways to do antennas in general. I just so happen to like relieve Uncle Sugar of this back in the day. So I have a very long Disco 3.2 relocation cable in here that we made. You can actually order them custom from us. That's a little known fact. We actually make our cables ourselves. So if you're nice enough and you call and talk to one of our wonderful staff members, we will cut you a cable to length, but we are not going to take calls all the time for 6.5 inches, you know, whatever. If it's within the normal range of our cables, we're not going to do it. But if you need like a 200-foot cable or something like that, we'll absolutely do it and we'll ruggedize it for you, okay? So has one of our cables, and then I have just these immense HF antenna that when it's fully erect, it is gigantic, all right? And you're talking hundreds of feet, all right? And when I talk about like you train, like you fight, you really have to just erect, you have to like put the antenna up and take the antenna down a lot, whichever one you're gonna use to get comfortable with it. I call it treeing an antenna. I'm pretty good at treeing an antenna. I have a system to tree an antenna, but if you don't know what you're doing, when you're cold, tired, hungry, it's gonna suck. And you're gonna end up breaking something, and it's not gonna be there for follow-on things. So you really need to like train with it. But there are other options other than this. This was just the free fitty option for old JB here. So that's why I use this, and I'm trained on it and I'm comfortable. But there are a million companies that make great HF antennas because the ham community is kind of driven by the HF part of the spectrum for really long haul communication. So do your research and get the thing that works. But basically this is kind of it, you know, between the Starlink, which is like my modern thing, of course my cell phone, you know, my cell phone is my personal computer, has all sorts of shit on there. I'm gonna have that, but it may not be able to connect to a network. So then I can communicate with my buddies VHF and UHF through my Alliance HD2. Then if I want to listen to what's going on around me to get some situational awareness, to build some understanding, I can use my police scanner. And then if I want to do long haul communications without any backbone, I have the HF stuff. I can also use that as a part of my like building understanding of what's going on around me, because like, you know, you can scoot around on the spectrum and you'll see there's a lot of cool, interesting stuff out there. There's, you know, like inside of this, I have things like, there are certain HF channels where they have like beacons and it gives a time. It's like a timing thing. So that's also another really survivable, been transmitting forever station that you can listen to see if like things have gone real sideways. But yeah, that's about it. I'm sure people have a lot to say, like down in the comments, what's your kit? What do you do? How do you do it better? People can learn from each other. This is how I do it. And like, this is how I'm going to continue to do it, because this is how I'm trained to do it. That is a pitfall many a young man or woman fall into, is they just jump in too deep without training. And then it's like, I have all of this shit. how does it work when it really matters? You should just be using, it should be day-to-day stuff that you use in your hobbies and you have all the time that you're really familiar with. You don't want to inject a bunch of weird stuff. It would be like, it'd be an RTO back in the day where you have like one radio, right? You have an ASIP and you're talking single channel plain text, which is just like analog, normal, open communication, and then going into combat and they give you an MPU-5 and all of the accessories and everything, and then they just give you that in the worst day of your life, and you're trying to figure it out. It doesn't pass the Disco common sense test. So, none of this stuff really are our products besides this cable, but I just wanted to give you some insight on it's very important to have a little bit of a plan to take care of the people immediately around you, and it could really lead to you being able to then enable some teamwork and some teaming and figure some stuff out should infrastructure not work. And it's a real thing. Infrastructure could fail and you need to have a plan to take care of yourself. So this is just what I do. Love it or hate it, whatever, talk shit. I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it the same goddamn way. So, all right.